Good morning from the city of Ridgeland, South Carolina in Jasper County, which is the southernmost tip of the state of South Carolina. And we were probably about 28 miles from the Savannah River, which is that way, which is south, and that's north. But in this unique town of Ridgeland, a lot of history, a lot of pre-Revolutionary War history and a lot of Civil War history. But the town of Ridgeland wasn't always called Ridgeland. At one time it was called Tortoise Hill, and there's little Mr. Tortoise right there, and they have a kind of a monument right here. Let me walk over and look at this monument. It kind of explains how this town got its name and what's unique about it. So you can kind of see this. It says prior to the 1890s, the town of Ridgeland was known as Gopher Hill, getting the name from the abundance of gopher tortoises that inhabited the sandhills of this area. And what they would do, they would dig massive burrows, and all kind of animals would go in there and live there and use these burrows. I mean, from possums to raccoons and all kind of other critters. It says also typically they would live 40 to 60 years and spend much of that life in the deep burrows. There's some still here, not many, but isn't that interesting? It's so interesting how some of these towns in South Carolina got their names. But one of the reasons I think, I'm going to show you the state sign or the state marker right here. It says Ridgeland was named for its location on a ridge between Charleston and Savannah. In other words, this was the highest point between Charleston and Savannah. And it's been Jasper County since the county was created in 1912. It was first named, as you can see, Gopher Hill. It grew up around, it built a train depot, and which is a very important train depot, because as a matter of fact, when General Sherman marched from Atlanta all the way down to Savannah with about 60,000 troops, one of the things that he did, and that was in the fall, November 1864, and November 30th, 1864, there was a battle about a mile and a half from here, the Battle of Honey Hill. And the Union soldiers came through here. And how you doing, man?
I'm all right, man.
There's residents. To cut the railroad line from Savannah to Charleston. And this is the line right here. This is the exact line. If you can look I'm looking south. And it also goes north. And this exact railroad line goes all the way from Miami up to New York. So anyway, what Sherman did, they sent Union troops here, about 5,000, and there was a battle to cut the lines. And then Sherman finally got to Savannah. I think it was around, December 10th, I believe it was. Anyway, getting back to Ridgeland, the original town of Gopher Hill, it always amazes me how these towns and these I guess members of city council can come up with their names. And some of these unique towns here in South Carolina still have these unique names. Towns like, and they're actual towns and communities. Bucklick, South Carolina. There's a community called Welcome. And I always think that's kind of cool. Imagine as you're driving down the road and you see the sign, it says Welcome to Welcome. And then there's another community called Happy Bottom. These are communities that are still out there. There's one community that I could not live in no matter what. Even if I won the South Carolina lottery, I could not live in this community, and that's called Spiderweb. I just couldn't do it. But love the history here, and a lot of unique charm here in Ridgeland. So let's just keep moving and just see what else that we can see in this unique place called Ridgeland, South Carolina. I'm in a location about 2.5 miles outside of Ridgeland in a very special place right next to a beautiful marsh. And this is the resting place of one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. There were 56 signers who signed the Declaration of Independence. South Carolina had 4. And this is the resting place of Thomas Hayward, right here. We also had Thomas Lynch, Edward Rutledge, and Arthur Middleton. Those four men signed the Declaration of Independence, which is what we are now. Just an amazing country that is still looked upon. What a beautiful place this is. How neat. And who would think 244 years later, you would have another American on his gravesite, on his resting site, talking about him, doing it with a device that the whole world can see live. What an amazing, modern, unbelievable world in which we live in. So, really cool stuff. The wonderful, beautiful resting place of Thomas Hayward. Gosh, you know, you wonder what they think or what they thought when they actually signed that name to that document, or their name to that document, knowing that King George III ain't gonna like it. So, just truly cool stuff. So let's just keep moving and just see what else that we can see in this unique area of Ridgeland, South Carolina. I am standing in the corner of East Main Street down here in Ridgeland, right here at the Moore Center, the Low Country Heritage Museum. As you can see, this used to be an old, as they call it, a filling station, but now it is a culture center and a museum. And let's go check it out, see what it looks like inside and what they've done here in this unique little Moore Center right here. And going in here.
That would be like 20 people.
And that's Haley right there. I just met her earlier. And here's the little culture center, the museum. And this room right here is the theme of the soul of the South. And music is so important, obviously, in the South and in South Carolina. As a matter of fact, when you hear music like beach bands and so forth, that was pretty much started in South Carolina, up the coast in Horry County, Myrtle Beach. As a matter of fact, the state dance for South Carolina, and it's all over the Southeast now, is the shag. It was started here. And this room, again, was dedicated to music of the South, the soul of the South, and the culture, and how important music was. And still is in the South. And it's neat how they did this. This is an old, like I say, an old filling station. It was dedicated from Mr. Moore's to the town of Ridgeland to keep the heritage up. And here's the tradition of Native Americans here in this part of the Low Country, which is also part of this little theme here. And so let's kind of walk around and see what else we can see in here. And it's a small little museum, but it's so cool that even these small communities really cherish their heritage and so forth. Here's a diorama over here of a very important battle during the Civil War. And I think I talked about it when I saw, Tortoise Hill, or Gopher Hill rather. And I don't know if you can see it through the diorama. The Union troops attacking the Confederate troops, and the whole purpose was to cut the railroad from, like I mentioned, from Savannah to Charleston. And here's some artifacts that there's left over, but just really amazing stuff. And of course, the Battle of Honey Hill, which is what it's called, is right here. And yep, November 1864. And it was a pretty bloody battle. I think the Union troops had about 5,500 men, and I think the Southern troops had, about 3,000? No, what did they have? About 2,000. And it was kind of a stalemate in the sense the Union troops, let me go over to the diorama right here. The Confederate troops, as you can see here, had fortifications, and they just couldn't break them. So the Union troops fell back and joined up with General Sherman's army on the way to Savannah. And then from Savannah, they turned and they came up towards Charleston, And about halfway to Charleston, what they did, they pivoted. Instead of going to Charleston, they went to Columbia, Sherman's troops, and burned Columbia down to the ground. Even though that Sherman was told to go to Charleston, and based on letters and so forth that they found out after the war, the reason that Sherman did not go to Charleston, which he was instructed to do, was because during the 1850s, Sherman was stationed in Fort Sumter, and he knew a little lady in Charleston. He just didn't have the heart or the wherewithal to burn this beautiful city of Charleston down, so he went to Columbia and burned Columbia down. So, really neat little place this is. So, well, Kaylee, I want to thank you for allowing me to come in here.
Oh, thank you.
And you're not on the phone, are you?
We're just having a meeting.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Anyway, this is a unique place, and like I mentioned, it's so neat how these small towns hold on to their heritage and their history. It's really, really special. And you've been here how long, Kaylee?
I've been here for about 2 years.
2 years.
Just had my second anniversary in October, so yeah.
Cool, isn't that neat? How I found this or saw this before I came here, it was online, and they let the public know, and they market it real well. So if you're ever here, drop by here, the Moore Center. It's really special. And they also have events every so often.
We have an event space that we use for our programs. Like I said, we're going to be reintroducing kind of on-site programming starting February.
Got it.
Make sure you check our website and our Facebook page. All of our stuff is up to date there.
Okay, and what is your website?
Our website is morrisheritagecenter.org.
Did you get that? MorrisHeritageCenter.org, okay.
And then our Facebook page is also under Morris Heritage Center as well.
Really neat. So I just love this stuff. Kaylee, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, and just have a wonderful spring coming up, okay?
All right, I appreciate it.
Okay, you take care.
Yeah, you too.
That was so cool. Love this. Just love it. Okay, now we're back out here in the thriving community of Ridgeland. So let me kind of look down, if you can see that, down the street, this big corner here. So pretty cool. So in any case, I want to thank you for coming along with me, the silver-haired traveler. And I do look forward to visiting other places with you and just seeing what other unique places here in South Carolina that we can find. So you take care, and we will see you soon.